So what would a Viking's perspective be on the strange and curious time of history that we are living in? And let's face it, we do live in a really strange period of history, a time which we have never got to before in humanity. But there's so many things going on in the world. We got the fear of World War III. We got wars all over the world. Food prices are increasing. The cost of living is getting worse and worse month by month and year by year. We're being taxed to the hilt. You're more likely to be stabbed on the street these days. Violence is on the rise. Crime is on the rise. It is a very scary time we live in. But yet it's also a fascinating era of time. And let's face it, not just that, we got this strange comet, 3i Atlas, flying through the solar system that we live in. Is it a comet? Is it an alien craft? I don't know. And if it was an alien craft, would the people that rule the world actually tell you? I don't think so. I think they will keep it secret. But that is another story, and we love another story on this channel. So we do live in a fascinating and wonderful but scary time in our world. But where are we going to? We need to go down a better route. But let's face it, if we carry on the way we're doing, the cost of living is going to get worse. We're going to have these carbon credits which will dictate what you can spend your money on, where you could travel. You'd be limited when it comes to where you could drive your car in the future. And that too is a very scary thing. Let's face it, if you've got a car, it's not cheap to run a car these days. But what would a modern Viking and what would one of our Viking ancestors think of it? Well, no doubt our ancestors would be completely have their minds blown away with the world we live in, because they won't recognise anything really when it comes to the world. Yes, they'll probably understand nature and the woods and the fields and how to survive better than what we can. But when it comes to AI, when it comes to all these things that are going on in the world, they'll probably want to go back to the 9th century. And what is the take of a modern Viking? Well, I think we do live in scary times. We're going to a fork in the road where there's two paths. The one path on the right side is where the world gets better and we'll deal with our problems and we'll make a better world for everybody with equality, and maybe that could lead to a fantastic future. But there's also the left path which kind of goes down the wrong route where wars are going to get worse. We're going to enter World War III, fears of nuclear war. That is a very, very scary path to go down, and certainly a path which I don't want to see humanity and I don't want to go down personally. But yet we must fundamentally prepare for what's coming, because let's face it, in society we don't prep. Very few people prepared have loads of food in their cupboards. I mean, they say that the average person, the average household, has about 1 to 2 weeks worth of food. Now, in a given situation where we have a lot of panic and something massive goes on in the world or in the UK and we can't get food because food and all the shops sell out, that's a very worrying situation. I don't trust Keir Starmer to come round my house and deliver me water and food, nor the rest of the Labour Party, because let's face it, they couldn't organise a piss-up in a brewery. I mean, they are a complete disgrace as a government, and they're all lining their own pockets with money. And we've seen that, in what's happened with the news in the last few months. I can't afford £2,000 glasses and nice fancy suits like Keir Starmer, but yeah, he gets them. And it's not right, is it? So it does make you think where we're going in the world, but I think the most important thing is that we stop and ask ourselves, where do we want to go as a species, and how can we find the solution to these problems? We don't want digital ID. We don't want to be told in the supermarket that you can buy this and buy that because of carbon credits in the future. We don't want to be told that, in order to get to the other side of your city, you've got to pay some charge. We don't want to be told where we can travel in the world by a plane, and you might only be allowed one holiday every couple of years under carbon credits, and that's a true thing. So it is a very scary situation. And I don't mean to scare you. I just want to talk about it in an open and sensible way, which I hope that this video has achieved. Because I think it's important that we talk about such things. It's important that we talk about the violence on the street. How do we end that violence? Because let's face it, it seems to be every day or every week somebody's getting stabbed in the UK. And we've not helped ourselves. And the governments currently and in the past have massively let us down as the people of this lovely country with fantastic history. And, history, if we forget history, if we tear down the statues, if we censor history, we don't learn from history, and by doing that, we do not learn, and we won't make the world a better place, because when you forget the past, you can't use the past as a tool to learn from, to say, yes, we're going to try to make the world a better place. So fundamentally, what needs to happen, not just in the UK, but across the world, we all need to come together peacefully, and in a sense where we stand up for ourselves peacefully, not violence, because that's never an answer. An eye for an eye does not get you anywhere, and we don't live back in the past or in the 8th century when violence was probably more, likely to happen to you than possibly today, but that's another debate for another day. And I was watching a David Icke little chat when he was at a demonstration the other day about the digital ID. And I can tell you something, they're going to cancel this digital ID. They're going to say that not enough people support it, but they'll come up with something else, some other form of ID in the future. But David Icke, he was basically saying that at the moment we've got the left and the right fighting each other, and that's been done by design because it splits us up as a people. And if we're fighting each other, we're not standing together and discussing the bigger things and the bigger aspects of society, and we're not addressing the bigger issues. So we do fundamentally need to, address the bigger issues. I mean, it's crazy to think of all these children in the UK that are homeless. I think I read it the other day. 160,000 children are currently homeless in the UK. That is completely shocking. We've had, thousands of people, homeless people, die on the streets. We've had our own veterans who cannot house themselves die on the street. But yet we have this illegal immigration, and let's not forget what it is. It's illegal. I welcome legal immigration. I think it should be fundamentally capped, but that's a debate for another day. But the fact that, we're allowing all these people in, and I read the other day we spent £15 billion last year, or on average, looking after these people. It's wrong. We should be looking after our own people. And yes, we should be looking after the people that truly want asylum, that come here legally, get on a plane and they legally ask for asylum in this country, because we are a country based on immigration. But what we don't need is illegal immigration, because it is destroying countries, and I think partly Donald Trump is right about that. But it's such a fierce debate when it comes to society, because it breaks people apart. It makes us fall out with friends, and let's face it, we need to come together and make the world a better place, and we can only do that if we think, and if we say enough is enough. Let's stand up for ourselves peacefully and in a good manner, and say to the governments of the world, we want change for the better. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. I was only going to do a short video. I tried to have a balance of my view, but it's more about the bigger picture rather than what I think. But I think it's interesting for people to hear the perspective on the current world we live in from a modern Viking. And yes, some people say, well, you can't be a modern Viking really, because you're not a Viking from the 9th century. But I beg to differ, and people really love their heritage. Let's respect that as well. And it's a goodbye from me. Goodbye from Braggy. We'll see you in the next video.